I'm Lindsay Dreyer, founder of Happy Agent Co., where we empower women in real estate to build financial independence, lead with authenticity, and create joyful lives and businesses. Each week, I'll bring you bold conversations, actionable strategies, and the inspiration you need to build a business that supports your life, not the other way around. This is the podcast for women like you who want more than success. They want freedom. They want to make an impact. And more importantly, they want to do it all without sacrificing their happiness. Welcome to Happy Agent Co., where success is unapologetically yours. Hey there! Welcome to our episode that is dedicated entirely to business planning. For those of you who are just joining us, I am Lindsay Dreyer. I am a brokerage owner of City Chic Real Estate in the Washington, D.C. area, as well as a coach and owner of Happy Agent Co. I've been in the real estate industry for more than 20 years, and I love helping real estate agents build businesses of their dreams that support their dream life. So today it is business planning season. Get in there, people. We are going to go through all of the steps that I recommend for planning a life first business. This is not business first. We do not live to real estate. We real estate to live. So I'm going to walk you through my steps on how you can plan for 2025 and make sure that your business is fitting into your life. The first place that we want to start with our business planning process is reflection. Yes, we have to look at the past year. And there are a lot of questions that I like to consider. I'm going to jump through a few of the most important, but in the show notes, I'm going to include a link that you can download all questions. There's a lot of them. And I have a workbook that is totally free that will walk you through all of the questions that I walk through personally and that I walk through with my brokerage team. So it starts with performance evaluation. What were your top 3 business accomplishments this year? Let's look at some wins. Also, let's take a look at numbers. So you're going to review your volume, number of transactions. How did they compare to the previous year? Did you meet or exceed your income goals this year? Also, diving into lead generation sources. What were your most successful? I also love to take a look at who is your favorite client and why, who is your least favorite client and why. And also, money is so important. Money management is so crucial to a successful real estate business. So taking a peek at how can you manage your finances and taxes better in 2025. I also like looking at time management and productivity. So how well did you manage your time this year? Were you like a chicken with your head cut off? Was everything a dumpster fire? Or did you feel fairly organized? Was it feast or famine? Did you have a nice flow of business? Also, is there anything that you could delegate to other people at work or at home? This is a big one for people who have families. Let's talk about your skills. What new skills or knowledge did you acquire this year? What did you learn this year? What areas do you need to improve on to be more competitive for next year? I also like to look at personal stuff. This isn't just about work, right? What were your 3 biggest personal achievements this year? How well did you prioritize your mental and emotional health? This is a huge one for real estate agents. We tend to really let the business just take over and hijack our emotional and mental state. So how can you do better? And maybe how can you get some support in the coming year? How can you create more balance in your life moving forward? And what are you most excited about in the coming year professionally? Think of something. There has to be something. And then what are you most excited about in the coming year personally? I know professionally, I'm just looking forward to building my brokerage, building my coaching business. I think 2025 is going to have a lot of opportunity for taking market share. And those agents that really stick to the game of real estate, I think are going to do really well. Personally, I'm looking forward to taking a lot more trips in our new RV that we got this summer. So summer of fun is something that I always look forward to personally, is building memories with my kiddos and my husband. These are all incredible reflection questions. Again, I know I went through them pretty quickly, but if you want to get a copy of the reflection questions worksheet, that's available in the show notes. So take a peek and you can download it. It is completely free. Step number 2 to building your life business plan. It starts with your life. So we are going to start thinking about putting on paper some life goals, some life experiences, things that make life worth living. And these include hobbies, experiences. What are we doing for fun in the next upcoming year? I know for me, travel is a huge one. I also started working out with a trainer, and that's a really big one for me. I love focusing on my physical, mental health. Also, taking a look at your personal development. Where do you want to get better as a person? And this doesn't just have to do with work, it doesn't always have to do with your professional improvement. This can be, I want to get better at spending time with my friends. I want to learn another language. I want to learn how to dance. It can be anything that makes you a better person. It could be reading a self-help book every month. So anything that you want to do to develop yourself as a person, that is a wonderful thing to include on your goals for 2025. Also taking a look at your relationships, your friends, your family. What are some goals, or what would you like to improve for 2025 around that? Is there more meaningful connection time, more intentional presence? A big one for me is family dinners every night. I want to make sure that we are having that connection time as a family every day. So what do you have on your list to try to nurture those relationships and really get intentional about nurturing relationships with those you love? It is so important to just our happiness as humans. And I also know that it's like the first thing to go by the wayside, unfortunately, a lot of times. I know I talked about this a little bit, but talking about health, if we aren't in a good spot, if we are not feeling good, that is going to impact our business immensely. So I'm talking about all health. We're talking about physical health. So are you feeling good? Are you healthy? Is your body working the way it's supposed to? And if it's not, how can we start working on maybe making it feel better? Again, my husband and I started working out with a trainer at the beginning of the year, and that's been a really, really big thing for not only our physical health, but it's also helped our mental health, and it's helped our relationship because we are now working out together and spending some quality time, which is really nice. Mental health, super important. Everyone should have a therapist. I really believe it. But I know that's a big part of my support team in terms of my mental health is my therapist. And luckily my insurance covers it. But maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's just taking a walk. Maybe it's intentionally quieting the mind and just putting your phone on Do Not Disturb. What can you do to really help your mental health in the upcoming year? Emotional health. I think part of it is just feeling your emotions. I know as a real estate agent, it's so easy to just get into that like numb mode because we're used to having other people's emotions being thrown at us. So we really have to put up that emotional wall, which can be really difficult. Like we're managing other people's emotions all the time, which means that we're kind of exhausted and can't really deal with our own emotions. So finding space to deal with your emotional well-being. Again, that could also be through therapy, could just be through journaling, could be through whatever, but really paying attention to your emotional health is super important. And then lastly, your spiritual health. I don't know what this looks like. It's different for everybody. Some people go to church, some people meditate, some people read. It's contemplation time. So whatever that means, that you feel like you're connected to something bigger. I know volunteering can also be that for a lot of people. You're connecting to humanity and really helping out humanity. The next one's a little less spiritual. I could be a little more selfish, I'm going to say. And we're talking about material possessions. So are there any material possessions you want to obtain in 2025? Maybe a new wardrobe is going to help you feel just like the boss that you need to be for 2025. Could be a new home. I know on my list, it's probably not next year, but hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years, is I'd love to put a family room extension on my house. Could be a new car. It really could be anything, but is there anything material that you've been really wanting to work towards or you really want to bring into your life? That's a really, really good one to consider because it can be really motivating. The other is your legacy, your volunteering. Is there philanthropy that you want to be participating in? So, how do you want to leave the world a better place? I know I'm starting to get to this point in my life, especially being in real estate for 20 plus years, also having children. I am really starting to look at how can I leave the world a better place for them. So really considering what does that look like for you? And for me, it's looking like more volunteering, more participating in the community, and trying to make things better for everybody. And then lastly, are there any professional achievements that you're looking to accomplish in the next year? This could be getting certifications, it could be serving on a committee. And a lot of times I'm just going to challenge you to look beyond the numbers. It's not always just about the numbers. It can be, but really, like, is there anything professionally that you want to achieve? Maybe you want to mentor somebody. So it could be anything professionally around wanting to better your profession or better yourself in real estate. So this list is probably going to be pretty long, and that's good. Like, we want it. So as you're making this list, you just brain dump, no judgment, just get it all out. We want it all out. And then you're going to go through a filtering process. And the filtering process is what's really motivating to you. What really gets you excited? Because you're probably going to have things on there that are like, meh, not really that exciting or not really motivated to get that done. And you start just picking and choosing the things that are truly going to motivate you for 2025. So we've got our reflection done. We've got our life goals all squared away. And the next thing is we have to budget for it. Okay, yes, money is involved here, people. We have a life to live. Unfortunately, we have to have money. So what I like to have people do is figure out how many homes you need to sell to support these life goals of yours. And that is honestly how you build a life first business plan. Figure out your life, figure out the budget of your life, and then figure out what you need to sell to make that happen. So let's assume everything on your life goals list, your regular budget items for your life, like your mortgage, daycare, groceries, gas, all that stuff. Let's say it adds up to $100,000. I'm just keeping this super simple in terms of math. I know for a lot of you, it's going to be a lot more than that. I know for me, it's a lot more than that. And we're going to multiply that $100,000 by 1.2. And the reason we multiply it by 1.2 is that we're going to assume that 20% is needed for taxes. So we take that $120,000, which is essentially your before tax income, and assuming you brought in $10,000 of average commission, so you're going to need to calculate your average commission rate per deal. Let's say it's $10,000 in this case. So we take our before tax income of $120,000 divided by our $10,000 commission take home average, and that means you're going to have to sell 12 homes in 2025. So take a look at that number. Let's gut check it. Does it feel totally bananas? Does it feel like a little bit of a stretch, but you could do it? Does it feel like a slam dunk? If you're in the it's totally bananas, there's no way you could do it, adjust the goal. That means you might need to adjust your life goals, and that's totally fine. But this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of setting meaningful goals. I know so many real estate agents who just set a number goal based on nothing. It just comes out of thin air. I want to make $250,000 this year. Why? Because I do. And if you don't have a strong why behind that number, you're not going to be motivated to hit it. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be like, I really only need $50,000 to live my life. I don't really feel like working any harder. I'm not feeling motivated. And then you get sidetracked. So if you want to make 250,000 because you know it's going to get you XYZ in your life, that's motivating. That's going to get you out of bed in the morning. That's going to get you doing the activities you need to be doing. And it's something that so many real estate agents don't understand. So I hope you understand this now, that our financial goals need to be tied to tangible things that we want for our lives. Moving on to the next step, we have your marketing plan and your lead generation. I always like looking at what has worked in the past for you. The past is a great predictor of future success. So make your plan based on what's worked for you in the past and maybe implement 1 or 2 new things and see what happens. I personally like 4 pillars because that keeps it organized and managed. And you're going to have your 4 pillars of lead generation. Could be working expireds, it could be open houses, could be doing events and workshops, could be just really nurturing your sphere. Social media can potentially be its own strategy. I will admit that one is exhausting for me personally, so I don't think I would go for that. But this also depends on what type of person you are in terms of lead generation. So there are 4 types of lead generators. There's a prospector, which essentially is somebody who's like cold calling. It's a cold relationship. They haven't expressed any interest in real estate. There's a networker, which is it's a warm relationship, so they know you and like you already and trust you already, but they don't necessarily have an interest in real estate yet. There's a converter, which is like a Zillow lead. It's online lead. I also think this can sometimes play into working an open house because you have people where it's a cold relationship, but they are expressing interest in real estate. And then there's the marketers. And the marketers essentially are putting a message out there and they're attracting people to them. So when people contact them, those are those inbound inquiries. Because of the marketing, they already feel like they know this person. They already feel like, oh, this is the person for me. So you don't really need to do a lot of converting. The person's already decided that you're the right real estate agent for them. So definitely knowing which personality type you are or which one is more your go-to is really important. So let's dive into a pillar, just to give you an example. I am going to choose open houses. That was such a big one for me as a new real estate agent. And I think because I was coming off of new home sales, where I would get people coming into my model home, I would have to essentially host an open house every day of my working life. So I think I got just really good at open houses. I also got really good at getting people to sign in. It's like hilarious. Let's talk about the activities or the things underneath an open house that we need to do to make them successful. These are the activities that we are doing regularly to get it to work. So I like these to be measurable. I like them to be specific. And ideally, I like them to be something that can be automated potentially. So we got to stay organized. All right, so let's dive in. The goal for open houses is I want to host 3 per week. This doesn't have to be just my listings. It could be my brokerage's listings, but I want to host 3 per week. I also think it's great to mix it up. The happy hour open houses have been doing really well, especially on the first couple of days that something's listed. So hosting a variety of open houses can be really helpful. I also am not poo-pooing on rental open houses. If you have rental listings at your brokerage or personally, rental open houses can be a great source of business. Maybe you rent the unit and it's a quick turn, or maybe you convert that person to a buyer. So whatever you can do to get more conversations, do it. So the goal, host 3 per week. The next thing on this open house pillar is that we need to market it. We can't just sit there, post it in the MLS, and hope that people show up. It just doesn't happen like that. So invite neighbors, send an email blast to your database or personal text to your database. Definitely put it online. And also make sure it's in the MLS. Door knock if you feel comfortable doing that. But make sure that you are getting as many people aware of this as possible. Definitely put it on social media. I think that's a big one too. The next is once you're hosting it, every single person needs to sign in. And the sign-in sheet that I like to use has different checkbox options on what they would like for follow-up. So do you want to be set up on a search? Would you like mortgage lender recommendations? Would you like to schedule a one-on-one consultation? Think of the options and then have them select. This makes the follow-up so much easier because they're already expecting something from you. They've already requested something from you. This is like not a digital opt-in. This is like a physical opt-in, which is the best. The next thing under this pillar is have a quality conversation with every attendee. My favorite question to ask is, where do you live? And that opens up a conversation of why they're there, what they think of the neighborhood, maybe they're relocating, but not how are you? There's so many agents that just don't take advantage of this opportunity to have a quality conversation with people who are coming through that door. And then at the end of your open house afterwards, you need to have a follow-up plan and a nurture plan for each person that came through. Now, I like to have a mix of automated plus personal. So if somebody puts that they want to be put on a search alert, I'll definitely put them in my search platform. I'm a big fan of Real Scout. Shout out to Real Scout. But I will also have personal touches. So if I see that they've been looking at a bunch of properties in Silver Spring, Maryland, I'm going to personally reach out to them either by phone or text and say, hey, it's Lindsay. We met at the open house. Just checking in. Saw you were interested in a lot of the Silver Spring properties. Are you ready to start looking at some of them in person? I'd love to show them to you. And then you can get into, obviously we need to have a buyer agency agreement, but it at least sparks that conversation with them. So that's the plan for an open house pillar. I think that's a really solid pillar. So you're basically going to do that for 4 different sources of leads in your business. And then you're going to get into detail as to how you're going to work that pillar. And it works. It absolutely works. Where I see this fall down for people is that they don't do the work, or the items underneath the pillar that they need to do aren't specific or effective enough. So this is where a coach can come in, or your broker or somebody, to just gut check your pillars and make sure that they're really effective, because the last thing you want to do is spin your wheels on this and not have traction. It sucks. Like, working and not having results is pretty much the most frustrating thing on earth. Okay, so we've reflected. We have our life goals. We have budgeted for it. We have figured out our lead generation marketing plan. So the next step is, what do you need to stick to your plan and actually like it? There's probably going to be things that you do in your real estate business that you don't love, and that's totally normal. A lot of people have things they don't love. I, for one, love the paperwork aspect of real estate. It's like my favorite thing, so I'll never give that away to anybody. But I know the majority of real estate agents hate that piece. So this is personal, and this is your reflection time of, like, what do you love in your business? What don't you love? And could you actually outsource it? So there's 3 things that you need to stick to your plan, probably. The first is people. That could be a coach to help you create a plan, stay accountable to your plan. Could be a transaction coordinator who helps you with the paperwork and contract to close aspects. Could be a marketing admin. Virtual assistants these days are the best, and they're so affordable. Or it could be an ops person. Maybe you just need someone who's running your business behind the scenes. The first hire I ever had in my team was a marketing/ops person. And that was a huge, huge deal. That took so much off of my plate and made everything run so much more effectively. So you just need to take a look at your business and figure out, what do you need for people? Are there any people you need to bring in? The next thing to stick to your plan is take a look at the tools, systems, and technology that you have in place. Do you have checklists? That is like a basic system. People don't think of it like a system, but a checklist is a system. That is something that's super important to your business. Technology. Do you have a CRM? Do you have a way to collaborate on property searches with your clients? Your email marketing software. So just taking a look at what you have available. Your brokerage probably has some of this. and figuring out, is there anything you need to fill in to make your business run better? And then the last piece is training. Is there anything you need to learn to help execute your plan? Is there anything that you need to create to implement your plan? Maybe you need some new templates. Maybe you need some new marketing materials. In my example of the open house, maybe you need to have some door knocking flyers created. Maybe you need to have a postcard template created to invite the neighbors via direct mail. Maybe you need to have that custom sign-in sheet created and printed. So going through and figuring out what collateral or what needs to be created is also another important step. So it's the people, tools, systems, technology, training, and collateral, anything that you need to create to support your plan. The next two things are really important. So many people create this plan and then it just sits in a drawer. But you need to realize this is a living document. This is something that can evolve and change as the year goes on. Things may not suit you anymore. You may realize, oof, that doesn't work. I don't love that. I'm not executing it on a consistent basis and I'm never going to. So I'll replace it with something else. So this is important. This is a living document. I recommend you review your business plan at least monthly and revise it quarterly. If you're not going to do this on your own, get an accountability buddy, get a coach. But you need to have somebody holding you accountable to reviewing your plan monthly, if not quarterly. It is so rare to be a self-accountable person. I will say I'm a mostly self-accountable person, but it is so hard when you are running a real estate business that pulls you in a million different directions to be able to hold yourself self-accountable. You could be the most boss person, but real estate is such a firefighting business that holding yourself accountable can be really hard sometimes. And it's not your fault. Like, don't shit on yourself. You're not a bad person. It's the nature of real estate. Like, it just is. So having somebody to hold you accountable or having that like date with your accountability buddy is super, super important. And then the last step is something I know no real estate agents really do. And I think it's so, so important, is track your shit. Measure everything. There's the saying, what gets measured gets managed. I will say at a brokerage level, it is so hard to track this because it requires the agents to track it themselves. But if you're a real estate agent or you run a team, this is like, you'll get such good data out of this, such good data. So what I recommend you track is all the leads coming in, how many consultations you get from those leads, how many signed agreements you get from those leads, how many closed deals you get from those signed agreements, and how many referrals you are getting from your database. If you start noticing trends, so for example, you see a lot of leads coming in, you're getting no consultations. This could be like a whole other podcast. Maybe I'll do this. But something's breaking down there. Could be lead quality, could be lead follow-up, but there's something that needs to be fixed there. You're not getting the consultations. Now, if you're getting consultations, but you're not getting signed agreements, your conversion probably stinks. Your consultations aren't very good. You're not convincing people to work with you in a way that's really resonating. So that's another place where things are breaking down. Now, if you're getting signed agreements and no closed deals, that could be a whole other host of things. Could be the market. It could be that you are not writing competitive offers. It could be that you're overpricing your listings and not marketing them well. So it could be any source of sadness, really, is what's going on. I mean, if we're not getting closed deals, that's sad. But this pipeline, essentially the statuses of lead to consultation to signed agreement to closed deal to referrals, when you're tracking that, that's power because it can get managed, especially when you have a team. It's so important. Like when you're an individual agent, you're kind of like, it's fine. I just do my thing. But when you have a team, you need to start really paying attention to how things are getting moved along in the pipeline. So that is life first business planning for real estate agents in a nutshell. I know that it seems like a lot. It really is so beneficial to your real estate business to take time, half a day if you can, to just get intentional about what next year is going to look like for you. So let's walk through the steps just to summarize. Reflect. Again, I have my reflection questions workbook. That's going to be in the show notes. It's free. Download it. Second step, figure out what you actually want with your life, because it starts with your life. And that's your life goals. What do you want? Then you're going to budget for it, because we're not making up numbers out of nowhere. We're not just pulling numbers out of a cloud. We're going to be intentional about where our numbers come from. Then we're going to have our marketing plan and lead generation plan based on what's worked for you in the past, and also have it be super detailed. Figure out what you need to stick to your plan, the people, tools, systems, technology, training, collateral, all the things. Realize that this is a living document. Have an accountability plan. And then track it. Make sure you are tracking things. It is so crucial, because I don't want you just spending money and time and energy and not knowing what you're getting back. You got to know what your return on an energy investment is, your return on time is. It's so important to being a happy agent. It really, really is. So I hope this episode is helpful to get the juices flowing and maybe get you a little motivated to do your business plan for 2025. If you need help or assistance or are curious on what it would look like to work with a coach one-on-one, in particular, moi, you can go to happyagent.co, and that has all the options, which includes our one-on-one coaching, as well as our signature retreat day, which is so incredibly fun. And it's like Marie Kondoing your business. That's all till now. Check the show notes for everything I mentioned. And I hope you all have the happiest year in 2025. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Happy Agent Co. I hope you're feeling inspired and ready to take action to build a business and a life you absolutely love. If you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world to me if you could share it with a fellow agent who might need to hear it. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you are feeling generous, leave a review. Until next time, stay happy.